Hey YouTube, it's Eric. This video is going to be pretty quick. I just found an interesting audio clip of the Supreme Court Justice nominee Brett Kavanaugh, Jesuit educated at Georgetown Prep, and coincidentally, it's come out in the news lately in 2015. I have the clip here on my phone. I'm going to play it for you guys. So Brett Kavanaugh said, "quote What happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep." End quote. And Georgetown Prep was founded by a Jesuit priest, John Carroll, the first Roman Catholic Archbishop of the United States in the of the Diocese See of Baltimore. Okay, John Carroll, brothers with Charles and Daniel Carroll. The three Carroll brothers were very instrumental in the Jesuit uh, plans on colonizing America at the foundation. George Washington was very intimate with the three Carroll brothers. And actually, right here, you'll see Georgetown Prep is the only Jesuit boarding school in the United States. Here, and just like Georgetown University, it has the Ultra Unum here in the center, which means both together with the cross and the world, which is this merging of church and state. Okay. You see here, this is the school here. Annual tuition of 56,000. That's funny. This is a complete elitist school. It's the only Jesuit boarding school in the U.S. And I pulled up an alumni list here, and you see it's founded by John Carroll. If you watch my video on General Electric, there's a John Carroll High School that General Electric donated $20,000 to in 2017. Here's the clip here. Okay. Here I'll get a picture of Kavanaugh while this plays. I'm playing this on my phone.
We all who are here at this school and teaching the future generations of lawyers. By coincidence, three classmates of mine at Georgetown Prep were graduates of this law school in 1990 and are really, really good friends of mine. Unfortunately, we had
Talking about Yale Law
a good
School.
saying that we've held firm to this day, as the dean was reminding me before the talk, which is what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep.
There you go. What happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. I'll say it one more time.
Before the talk.
And by the way, I did a video way back. This is the same Georgetown University, like the like Georgetown Prep feeder school, is openly calling for population engineering right now. They published a paper in 2016 calling for population engineering and reducing the human fertility rates. Yeah, I did a video on that, but Georgetown is actively calling for population engineering. But here you're gonna hear it one more time.
Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. That's been a good thing for all of us, I think.
That's been a good thing for all of us, I think. Yeah, so all your shady shit can stay in the shadows. But interesting here. I think some of these Kavanaugh accusers, like I think part of it is a controlled opposition. But interestingly, you said that what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. And where was this link here? There's this one of his recent accusers has accused him of raping him, like this woman accused Kavanaugh of raping her while he was attending Georgetown Prep. I had that link up here. Um, yeah, I must have closed it. I apologize. And this lady here has also accused Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford. But I think a lot of these I think possibly this could just be like a divide and conquer side, but it's also possible Kavanaugh did rape all these women just because like he's a psychopathic, Jesuitical piece of shit, just like Donald Trump. Donald Trump has had like 13 sexual cases brought up against him that have gone nowhere, and Donald Trump like makes innuendos about like having sex with his daughter. Yeah, but you heard Brett Kavanaugh say what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. So I found an alumni list of Georgetown Prep. I'm just going to go through it with you here just because it's pretty significant. I'd link this in the description. See if anyone's in the video quick. I want to make this video pretty short. We see here in entertainment and art from Georgetown Prep, you've had actors Dylan Baker, Ian Harding, Eric LaRae Harvey, Mo Rocca, and James Whitaker, who's a movie producer. In athletics from Georgetown Prep, you've had the owner of the Arizona Cardinals, William Bidwell. You got the president of the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Bidwell. You got the general manager of the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman. Former owner of the Pimlico Racecourse, host of the Preakness Stakes, Joseph A. DeFrancis, Georgetown Prep. You got the Lau Hannigan, Executive Vice President of Football Administration, San Francisco 49ers. Roy Hibbert played for NBA center Denver Nuggets. Chip Jenkins is an Olympic gold medalist, 4x400-meter relay, 1992 Olympics. You got Willie Oshton is an NFL defensive end. John Rika is an NFL defensive end. Here you got government and military here. Let me pull up my phone. Hey, hey, what's up, guys? Oh, absolutely. Actually, Solo Cat, a Catholic judge by definition is like a traitor to his country. Actually, that's any Catholic politician, especially a Jesuit politician, because he's been indoctrinated by the Jesuit fathers and the art of sophistry, casuistry, and dissimulation. But a Catholic judge, by definition, cannot be. He is a traitor by definition, because by definition, as a Catholic, his allegiance is to the Pope and the Church first, and his country second. And if he's given orders to make a judicial decision that goes against the Constitution of the United States, he has to do so unhesitatingly so. If he's instructed to do so by his superiors, and you're gonna see here, there's quite a few. There's some U.S. judges that went to this Georgetown prep, like Kavanaugh. It's not just Kavanaugh. Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, it is kind of hard to believe the reality. Yeah, it's a complete dissimulated like society. Almost everything's inverted. And but if you understand like the Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Church, they've been doing this for quite some time. You know, that is the reason why they have been driven out of like 70 different countries. You see your government and military, you got Francisco Acuria Sasca. And guys, what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. Remember that. You got the Nicaragua. He was the Nicaraguan ambassador to the United States and Canada. He was the Nicaraguan foreign minister and congressman and served as the president of the Economic and Foreign Affairs Committee of the Nicaraguan Congress. He graduated Georgetown Prep in 1962. You got Jamie E. Allman. He's the ambassador to the United States from the Republic of Panama. Interesting. It's very interesting to look into how the Panama Canal was created. The law firm Sullivan and Cromwell was directly behind that. Um, you got Michael J. Daley, recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor for his military valor during World War II. Again, William Donovan got a Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor is an inverted pentagram, just like the Church of Satan logo. So it's not much of an honor to get a Medal of Honor. Yeah, you got the former U.S. Congressman, Democrat from Michigan, John Dingell Jr., graduated in 1944. Chris Dodd, the former CEO of the Motion Picture Association, uh, went to Georgetown Prep, former U.S. Senator, Democrat, also the head of the Senate Banking Committee. And Chris Dodd was involved in the Countrywide financial crash in 2008. Countrywide, headed up by Angelo Mazzillo, Jesuit educated at Fordham. Christopher Dodd and his Jesuit coadjutors were involved in tanking that. While in Countrywide, they're involved in tons of shady deals, stole millions, probably up to billions of dollars in their shady Ponzi schemes, and they collapsed the company. And Bank of America bought up all the assets, and the Jesuits control Bank of America. Okay. That's sorted in Vatican billions over Manhattan. But here you go, another United States Supreme Court justice who Donald Trump, Jesuit educated at Fordham, actually nominated. Neil Garouche went to Fordham Prep, and he's also on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. Thomas F. Hogan is a Chief Judge, U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. Okay, Georgetown Prep. Gilmary M. Hostage was a general in the United States Air Force, commanding officer of the Air Combat Command, 2011 to 2014, Georgetown. And here you see Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh, who said what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep, current Supreme Court Justice nominee, Jesuit educated. So he's a judge for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Washington, D.C. Circuit. Remember, guys, Donald Trump's sister is also a judge for the U.S. Court of Appeals on the Ninth Circuit in Connecticut. And Donald Trump's sister donated $4 million to Fairfield University and said how much and she loves Ignatian spirituality. She can't get enough of the Jesuits. And Donald Trump's sister also makes many anonymous donations, which is very important. Okay, and the Trump empires, I think, funneling millions of dollars to these Catholic Jesuit institutions. Okay, multi millions. Yeah, and you see here Douglas Kennedy, Fox News Channel correspondent, son of Robert Kennedy. So you got a Fox News. There's a Kennedy on the Fox News clan now, which is headed up by devout papist Rupert Murdoch, who's given the Vatican Knight of the Order of Saint Gregory in 2004 by John Paul II. You got Frank Lee Lobindo, U.S. Congressman, Republican from New Jersey. He graduated in '64. Richard S. Malderno Jr., 1983, graduated Georgetown Prep. For what happens at Georgetown stays at Georgetown, Maryland State Senator. You got the current governor of the Federal Reserve, or the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Powell's been the governor of the Federal Reserve Board since May 2012. Powell went to Georgetown and Georgetown Prep. You got Grover Reese III, was the U.S. ambassador to the Democratic Republic of East Timor, '02 to 2009. Jesuit educated at Georgetown Prep. Francis Rooney, U.S. Congressman, Republican, Florida. I recommend you read this guy's book, The Global Vatican. He essentially, like, it's there's lots of mockery in that book, but like if you read that book, like he puts it out there, like it's being put out there in plain sight that the papacy controls the world. But that's Knight of Malta Francis Rooney. So he was a U.S. Republican in Florida, former U.S. ambassador to the Holy See, former member of the Panama Advisory Board of the Panama Canal Authority. And this guy here, Francis Rooney, I had actually unlearned, fortunately, that he had something to do with the building of the recent Cowboys stadium, which was that stung, to be honest, because I'm a Cowboys fan. And apparently Jerry Jones's son went to Georgetown. And I've been wanting the Cowboys to get rid of Jerry Jones for quite some time now, but that's probably the reason why Jerry Jones is a piece of scum. On and off the field, he's not about winning. He's just about himself. He's an egomaniac. But that's a little off topic. You see, here you got Joseph Schmidt. He founded the Blackwater military, co-founder of the Blackwater paramilitary organization. Blackwater troops were actually seen deployed to New Orleans at post-Hurricane Katrina, and Blackwater was the U.S. military's paramilitary force in Iraq. Blackwater was shown to use Knights Templar call signs, but Joseph Smith's also in the Opus Dei Catholic Secret Society. Went to Georgetown Prep, professor at Georgetown, Knight of Malta, and he's the former Inspector General of the Department of Defense under President George W. Bush, who sees God in the eyes of Benedict XVI. Yeah, so yeah, Soros is part of that whole. He's part of the Jesuit banking financial syndicate. Yeah, so he's Soros and many industrialists will be controlling Trump behind the scenes with Pope Francis and the Jesuits at Fordham, the Jesuits at Georgetown, and all the American archbishops will be immediately controlling Trump. We see here Mark Shriver, who's the former representative to the Maryland House of Delegates, vice president and managing director of U.S. programs Save the Children. So you got Jesuits running these quote unquote Save the Children programs. Why? Because they're actually through these programs they're taking advantage of underprivileged children, and they're actually human trafficking these children through these front organizations. And then they send a lot of these children to Catholic orphanages, which are funded by the big corporations. Like General Electric sent $30,000 to St. Joseph's Catholic orphanages. Yeah. We got Harry D. Train II, retired admiral in the United States Navy who served as the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's Supreme Allied Commander. Okay, and he is also Commander in Chief of the U.S. Atlantic Command. Harry Train II. Okay, Georgetown Prep. You got business here. Thomas Hale Bogues, founder and partner of the law firm Patton Bogues LLP. David Chang, the chef and owner of Montfaucon restaurants in New York City and Washington D.C. Actually, here's a really interesting connection to. I just mentioned. I did my last video on GE. Look at you see his last name, Colonna. This is one of like the aristocratic Roman families. You see here, Paul Colonna, General Electric. He went to Georgetown Prep. Look at this. You see the Colonna family? You see the Colonna family is an Italian noble family. Okay, you see here, it was powerful in medieval and Renaissance Rome, supplying one Pope Martin V. Pope Martin V was a Colonna, born Otto Colonna. Okay, and many other church political leaders. Okay, but the Colonna family is a black nobility family. There's some research out there that Christopher Columbus, who sailed personally for Pope Alexander VI to conquer the Americas legally for the Pope. That's why Columbus was referred to as the son of the Catholic Church in the papal bull Inter Carrera. But there's also evidence out there that Christopher Columbus could have been part of this Colonna family. But just look at that. So you see that Colonna family there, and look at this here. Paul Colonna graduated 1986 from Georgetown Prep, is the president and chief investment officer of General Electric Asset Management. If you haven't watched my last video on General Electric, how's it going, Palm Survival? Glad you made it. If you haven't seen my last video on General Electric, watch that. You'll see GE is giving millions of dollars to Catholic institutions, and there's a Kelowna high up in their executive structure. And so I found a picture of this guy here. Here's the Paul Kelowna. Oh, here's a picture of him here. Here he is there, Paul Kelowna. I think this guy may be from that Kelowna black nobility family. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But he went to Georgetown Prep. You got Edmund B. Cronin Jr. is the chairman of the board of trustees and past chief executive officer of Washington Real Estate Investment Trust. It's a very powerful real estate trust. You got Paul G. Harga, financier and philanthropist, and the CEO of the NPR. You got Christopher Kennedy. Oh, Christopher Kennedy is president merchandise of Mart Properties Inc. and a son of Robert Kennedy, another Kennedy who went to Georgetown Prep. You got Chris Rogers, the founder, senior vice president at Nextel Communications. You got B.F. Saul, the founder of Chevy Chase Bank. Okay, J. Dennis Scariff, owner of Bray and Scarf. And you got Chet Thompson, the president of the American Fuel and Petrochemicals Manufacturers. You got the Harry L. Yu, former CFO of Oracle Corporation and former CEO of Bearing Point. You got here's some Jesuits here. John Deere S.J., peace activist. Ironic, a Jesuit who's a peace activist. Really? Like, oh my God. You got Michael Keegan, a medical director and one of the founders of Somogos Amigos Medical Missions, a nonprofit providing medical health care to undeserved communities in the Dominican Republic. Anthony Shriver, founder chairman of Best Buddies International. Education, another Jesuit here, Paul Tipton, S.J., former president of the Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities, and the former president of Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama. Literature and journalism, you got William Abel, an author. Here's an NBC correspondent, Dennis Murphy, graduated 1965. Dateline NBC correspondent who went to Georgetown Prep and the winner of 4 Emmy Awards for excellence in news reporting. Christopher Rose, Georgetown Prep grad, was a noted columnist for the Times-Picayune in New Orleans and the Pulitzer Prize winner for his post-Katrina columns. His post-Katrina columns, which I just told you earlier, you can find this for yourself. There was papal paramilitary forces, Blackwater, in Katrina, in New Orleans, who were actually killing people in the streets. That is not a joke, because Hurricane Katrina was a crusade. Okay, and that's why George Bush took months to send any relief to Katrina. And that's why he called the war in Iraq a crusade that had Blackwater mobilized in Iraq. Okay. You see here, and yeah, so it's Katrina columns compiled into a propaganda bestseller book, One Dead in the Attic. You see Alan Tate also went to Georgetown Prep, poet and essayist. He was the U.S. Poet Laureate and consultant in poetry to the Library of Congress. Oh, sorry, my girlfriend's calling me. Okay, give me a second. Yeah. So science and medicine. Michael Corby is a senior scientist at Biogen Etic, a global pharmaceutical biotechnology company. He was a Fulbright and a Henry Luce Scholar. Here's and actually this is fascinating here. Tim Hughes graduated recently in 1990. Tim Hughes is the senior vice president and general counsel for SpaceX. Okay, and actually, there's another Jesuit connection to SpaceX. His name is Tom Mueller. He's the co-founder of SpaceX with Elon Musk. But Tom Mueller went to Jesuit Loyola Marymount, and that's why I think Elon Musk is being propped up as a puppet because SpaceX has lots of Jesuit tentacles in the background. But you see here, Tim Hughes at SpaceX went to Georgetown Prep. Okay, and Tom Mueller is the other Jesuit connection to SpaceX. Right here. Right there, Tom Mueller went to Loyola Marymount University. Okay. Yeah, that's why SpaceX there's no rockets going out into space. Yeah. Like the moon landing didn't happen. That's why there's 35 craters on the moon named after Jesuits. Yep, there's 35 of them. Okay. See, and here's Michael Heumann. He's an ophthalmologist, engineer, scientist, and inventor. The only ophthalmologist ever to be elected a member of both the U.S. National Academics of Medicine and Engineering, probably because he went to Jesuit Georgetown Prep. What happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. Okay, and he was awarded the National Medal of Technology and Innovation by President Obama in May 2016. Actually, here's another NASA connection to the Jesuits here. I'll pull up this guy's picture. John Nicolaides. He's an aeronautics professor at the University of Notre Dame and a former NASA official who also went to Georgetown Prep. And on team that made a breakthrough. He was on a NASA team that made a breakthrough in aerodynamic design after discovering the airfoil plane in the early 1970s. That's funny. If you haven't seen my video on NASA, watch check that out. Just in particular, just off the top of my head now, Glenn Looney, who led the NASA Apollo missions, went to two Jesuit schools, University of Scranton and Scranton Prep. Uh, Former NASA director during the Bush regime, Sean O'Keefe was the former CEO of Boeing, which the Jesuits control, according to Aber Manhattan. And Sean O'Keefe went to Loyola, Maryland. And Michael D. Griffin, the NASA executive director after Sean O'Keefe. I think that the title is like the or the administrator of NASA, but the administrator Sean O'Keefe after Sean O'Keefe, Michael D. Griffin went to a Jesuit school as well, and he's currently in Trump's administration in an undersecretary role. Here's your John Nicolaides, former NASA official, went to Jesuit Georgetown Prep. See if I can find this guy's photo here. And he was a professor at Notre Dame University. And here he is on a NASA government document here on a chart. There's his name. Um, no, that's not him. Might not be able to find a photo of this guy, but that's his name here, John D. Nicolaides at NASA. And the last name on this list, Charles Zubrod, who's an oncologist, regarded as the father of modern chemotherapy. Are you kidding me? The chemotherapy that has like a 10% effective rate, and chemotherapy that actually poisons more people than it actually helps. Are you kidding me? The founder of modern chemotherapy is Jesuit educated. Well, it doesn't surprise me at all, considering that the Jesuits gave Robert Gallo, the man who engineered the AIDS virus, a sword of Ignatius Loyola from St. Louis University. Okay, so this Charles Zuber doctor here went to Georgetown Prep. And guys, remember, what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown. And this guy found chemotherapy. Oh, and he went to Jesuit St. Louis University too, that gave Robert Gallo the sword of Ignatius Loyola. Huh, that's funny. Yeah, hey, did you see the airfoil plane? Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. You know, it's so like when you look into the Jesuit control of space organizations, it's truly incredible how they control it all. And it's all theater. Yeah. Um, I don't believe in the flat Earth at this point, but like I still know that like it's impossible to break through the so-called Van Allen radiation belt that's out there. Okay, and if you just like the moon landing, like you can see like if there's a vacuum in space, you can see a picture of the American flag waving on the moon. Like how is that possible in the vacuum in space? But yeah, so here's some photos here of Georgetown Prep. I'll show you some photos before this video is over. But remember, if you're just coming in now, at the beginning of the video, I played the clip of Brett Kavanaugh saying what happens at Georgetown Prep stays at Georgetown Prep. Here are some of the photos here. And it's the only Jesuit boarding school in the United States. And apparently, I think some of these Kavanaugh accusers are controlled because I know I just can't remember the names right now. If you watch the latest Resistance Rising shows, that content's covered. But some of the latest Kavanaugh accusers are Catholic. But apparently, it was at this Jesuit boarding school that Kavanaugh did rape a few women. Um, and again, just read some of the Jesuit ideologies on chasticity and oath breaking and uh, lust, and you'll see that it's right in harmony with Jesuit doctrine. Read the Jesuit Oath. But yeah, that's all for this one, YouTube. Peace and love, and namaste. Yeah, they do control it all, Harp. Absolutely. Yeah, nothing's gonna change until That's the way karma works. You reap what you sow. If society until we become educated on the Jesuits and Roman geopolitics and the papacy, nothing's going to change. And nothing has changed for 1500 years. You could say even like the papacy like adopted like with the recent founding of the Babylonian Hammurabi Code. You could say that the papacy is just extending like Babylonian feudalism, and that like the feudalistic system goes back thousands and thousands of years. Like we've essentially been serfs for thousands of years. So until the people get their education up, nothing's gonna change. But yeah, that's all for this one. YouTube, peace and love, and nam nam.